BizTech's technology show. Now, our guest for today is Damien Leach. Damien is the Chief Technology Officer, APJ, at Workday. Now, Workday is a leading provider of enterprise cloud applications for finance, HR, and planning. Now, to tell us more, welcome to the show, Damien.
Thank you, Brian. I'm a fan of the show, so I really appreciate having me.
Thank you very much. Now, Damien, can you talk us through what Workday does and also your role at Workday?
Sure. So, my role entails partnering with CIOs in an organization and organizations across Asia Pacific and Japan, explaining why and how Workday can serve as the backbone of their digital transformation efforts and really sort of help them adapt and grow in their changing world. And as the Chief Technology Officer, I'm also responsible for providing the perspective of the CIO back into the product and technology organization inside Workday. And this in turn helps us ourselves to adapt to the market and customers as demands change. And whilst there's an element of fluidity, we focus our purpose on this. So a bit about Workday. Workday is on an aggressive growth path to 10 billion in revenue. And we've announced our intention to grow our employee base here in Asia by 20% in FY 2022. Workday has more than 800 customers headquartered in APJ. Workday is a truly global service provider, and we supply 50% of the Fortune 500 and over 70% of the top 50 companies in the Fortune 500 services. And to help serve our clients closer to home, we've got office locations in this region across Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and India.
We had Sandeep Sharma, president of Workday, on BizTech last year. So tell us some of the key things that have happened globally and regionally at Workday for 2022.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, whilst I mentioned in the sort of introduction that we've been focused on our growth, that remains true. And I think, we're still seeing the forefront of digital transformation in our conversations. So, for us, that's still absolutely key when we talk to our customers. And indeed, when we set up Workday in the first place in 2005, we purposefully built the Workday environment as a true cloud-native architecture that's secured by design, so we can look after organizations' most critical data, people, and finance. And at the time, I think, we were thinking about the cloud, but nobody else was. And obviously, if you fast forward to today, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, it's been a great, enabler for organizations to remain adaptable.
Now, Damien, as one of the pioneers of the cloud, and I think even before that, the ASP model, you were at the forefront, obviously, of this revolution. What are the changes in your technology, in your tech stack this year, particularly as you mentioned earlier in the interview, that really your role is around listening to CIOs and putting that feedback loop back into the product?
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. So, it's first really important to understand what true cloud means to us. There's a lot of talk about cloud native technologies and so forth, but true cloud to us means that we have all of our customers on the same version globally within our platform. We also release new feature enhancements, and these are applied to our development teams every year. And this enables us to scale and deliver innovation for our customers at minimal disruption, meeting both performance targets and our customers to ensure that they really take advantage of these features at a time that suits to them. So ultimately, our focus is around delivering an adaptable platform that creates agility for our customer and also ensures that no one gets left behind with old versions of code. And I think if you look at, as an organization, we're really focused on freeing up the IT teams who no longer need to spend time on legacy forklift upgrades or system configuration changes. Workday is focused on putting the power in the hands of the business users who can change, modify, create an employee workflow a business process or a report themselves immediately. And the IT teams can then refocus efforts on driving and adopting new capability and integrations to bring to the forefront of advanced agility.
Now, Damien, Workday has been extremely successful in basically getting large companies to adopt your solutions globally. As you mentioned, a large number of Fortune 500 companies use and are powered by Workday. In the Asia Pacific region, is that the same customer base and that you're seeing or have seen? And is there growth in perhaps the small and medium-sized enterprises who perhaps are now or have been, particularly as a result of the pandemic, transforming their businesses using cloud-native applications like yours?
Yeah, it's a great point. And actually, we're seeing a really interesting spread of both large enterprise, medium enterprise customers adopting Workday. And the reason for that is we've developed a large number of APIs. And a good example of this is the API that we built for collaboration applications. So, as we look at the way that the tools and services are used in industry, employees need not leave the tools that they use the most. They can launch Workday features from inside their collaboration tool of choice. And we've got an extremely large developer community and a marketplace for new applications that we've made available to our customers. So this, along with our very active community of users, allows our customers to continue to learn from each other organically. And we see both large and medium enterprise customers benefiting from those discussions internally. We've also seen customers experiment with new workflows themselves without the need for third-party or IT teams' involvement. And the power is with them. And this adaptability has been especially useful during the pandemic for our customers, small and large alike, where things like vaccination status was needed urgently and securely. We released new worker objects in our platform that were globally accessible for all our customers at once. And this helped them manage vaccination status and return to work policies on behalf of their organizations.
Now, Damien, I want to zoom in on the IDC Workday Digital Agility Index for Asia Pacific. And this is a study for 2022 that you launched this earlier this month. Now, tell us about the study and what your objectives are for it.
Sure, yeah, that's correct. So Workday commissions a study with IDC to understand the extent to which APAC organizations have progressed in digital agility since the COVID-19 pandemic. The study aims to share insights and guidance on how different organizations can become more agile and recommend steps they can take to recognize their own paths to greater agility. Also, the study helped to share that they are perhaps not alone in their journey, and there are plenty of examples we can give where we've helped and partnered with organizations to achieve greater agility in this changing world. And as far as the study is concerned, Workday's IDC Digital Agility Index revealed that whilst Asia-Pacific organizations have achieved some progress in digital agility in the last 2 years, with increased technology adoption, more than half, or 62% of organizations in APAC still lag in digital agility, with a widening gap between leading and lagging enterprises. And for these slower organizations, technology adoption is often driven by functional line of business requirements, such as necessitated by immediate needs, such as e-commerce, safety measures, remote work during the pandemic. And such tactical functional approach to digital transformation has somewhat limited enterprise agility during this period for the IT systems that were not able to adapt fast enough. The good news is the remaining 38% of APAC organizations are in the advanced stages of digital agility. And this reflects an increase of 18% compared to 2020. And this uplift have really been sort of accelerated by the technology adoption and the pace of digital transformation in the region during the pandemic.
I want to draw the audience's attention to the 4 categories that you use basically to categorize digital agility: slow, tactical, integrated, and agile. And you alluded to that in terms of those who are probably lagging behind and those who are ahead of the curve, who would fall in the agile and integrated categories. Could you shed some light into perhaps some of the industries that were perhaps a little bit more ahead of the curve compared to others?
I can share what IT leaders from a top challenge faced in the region. Very happy to do that. So number one, the top challenge that industries as a whole faced in the region was really choosing the right technology solution that can help drive business agility whilst avoiding technical debt. And that was 49% of all that we surveyed. The second challenge that IT leaders faced across all organizations was a lack of consistent integration across systems that creates data reporting, business process issues, and that impacts decision making. And the third was really looking at delivering a digital resiliency at scale to effectively respond to rapid changes and capitalize on disruptions. And they were industry-wide findings, not specific to a specific vertical as such, more across the organizations that we surveyed. So one aspect of this study that didn't surprise me, but certainly confirmed my suspicion, was the fact that many organizations are still battling with the internal inertia. They know that they need to become more agile. They faced a lot of pain during the pandemic due to legacy IT systems not supporting rapid change, yet they continue to choose systems and support infrastructure on premise that are ultimately the root cause of the pain that they're trying to solve for. And the good news is, when they're ready, Workday are here to help them on a better, more agile journey for people in finance to underpin that transformation journey they desperately need.
Okay, so what would your advice be for these companies who are stuck? And as you said, it's not a technology issue, it's an internal inertia. Mm-hmm. What advice or key 3 things perhaps they need to do to prioritize as they migrate from this legacy and inertia into the cloud?
Sure. I think the one of the key messages that I'd like to share was really, for me, leaders should be brave. They should be focused and be the change. Leaders must understand that digital transformation is an evolution rather than a moment in time, and not just in terms of technology, data, and analytics used, but also in the way that organizations develop and sustains people, skills, culture, operational structure, and processes required to drive digital transformation forward. And so with this in mind, I believe there's 3 areas that I would like leaders to prioritize, and they are: number 1, you need to create a vision to build business resiliency and continuity at scale by accelerating the pace of cloud adoption for core functional systems. In recognition of the importance of unification for both people and finance systems and embedded analytics in order to be successfully able to plan and map all possible futures to accommodate for any change in the future. So number 2, focus on automation and put the change in the hands of the business by choosing as-a-service architectures that is adaptable, extensible, and has APIs for integration in and out of your ecosystem. And this will be critical in driving agility and enabling organizations to accommodate for rapid change in real time. And the third takeaway I'd like people to have is really understanding the importance of continually listening to your employees and cultivate a culture that's focused on great employee experience. Know the skills, know your employees, react to sentiment fast, and help them grow in the organization through the use of things like work gigs, internal employee marketplace. And this will really help with agility. A really great example of these 3 points in action is the leading Malaysian telecoms company, Maxis. Maxis had its sights set on becoming not just a telco, but a digital solution company. And in doing so, it embarked on its digital transformation journey, starting with its people. And Workday, as a born-in-the-cloud solution, provided Maxis with an agile, intuitive, and simple ecosystem, simplifying the processes for employees and the organization as a whole. And with a single source of truth with employee data, Maxis was able to effectively mine actionable insights for smarter decisions and cultivate a better employee experience to help retain and grow its talent. And this huge, purposeful digital transformation journey all started with a vision, which brings me back to the first point that I mentioned. creating a vision to build business resilience is absolutely critical. And that must be driven through the organization and aligned with the CFO, CHRO, and CIO in unison.
Now, Damien, one of the things that the survey also indicates, which you alluded to earlier in the conversation, is a widening gap between the leading and lagging organizations in APAC. Now, that's one point I want to highlight. And the other point is also the fact that Singapore lost its top ranking, which it had in 2020, to Australia, which is now the number one. And Singapore dropped to number 2, followed by New Zealand, Korea, and Hong Kong. And then after that, followed by Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. Is that gap across organizations also across all these markets widening as well?
Yeah, that's an incredibly interesting question. I think the issue that we're trying to surface and discuss with our customers and also help them with is that we anticipated, from my perspective, that the progress up to be linear for all organizations in terms of digital agility. In actual fact, the findings show, as you quite rightly pointed out, that the results are uneven, and there are widening agility gaps between these leading and lagging enterprises. And if I can just explain this a little bit more, we found that leading CHROs, CFOs, and CIOs alike in organizations have a holistic view of their employees, are actively listening through employee sentiment, and have a great understanding of the workforce planning and talent development that is also aligned to finance in cost accounting and budgeting activities. We know things evolve over time and are externally influenced, and leaders in the field are leveraging predictive analytics, so HR and finance can be better to anticipate the change and respond accordingly. So in short, enterprise-wide functional integration of business collaboration contributes to enterprise agility, especially where empowerment is given to business leaders to adapt the worker journey, how they see fit. Now, conversely, lagging companies do not listen. They cannot act, and they're still operating in organizational silos. And leading CIOs understand that integrating the wider ecosystem is critical, and demand will grow over time. So it's really important that the right choices are made in the cloud journey to underpin transformation, accelerate this integration, growing features and functions organically as a result. And for CIOs specifically, where integration over APIs and working with cloud native service providers has really been a key strategy in the thirst for agility for them. And conversely, for the CIO in lagging organizations, they lack the enterprise-wide capabilities. They lack a holistic strategy that will warrant an open integrated stack, and also lack alignment and are less agile in adapting to fast-changing market dynamics.
So Damien, here is the challenge. The challenge is not technology. Companies like you have the technology. It's really the culture. So as a CIO, if I'm a traditional CIO and I look at things in a very silo-like manner, I'm not going to work perhaps I'd work a little closely with my CFO, but not, as you said, with the other key leaders, the CHRO, for example, in order to blend everything together and get that optimum digital transformation. What sort of advice would you give a CIO then in terms of embarking on this journey?
Yeah, it's a great question. Ultimately, we see the CIO, the CFO, and the CHRO need to act in a very tight and collaborative way to increase the pace of this digital transformation and really narrow the agility gaps that exist in an organization. And together, ultimately, their distinct capabilities to combine and also fuel organizational resilience and excellence will allow them to respond at scale to any conditions outside of their control. And my specific focus on the CIO really brings the conversation beyond the traditional IT operation. And the study really underpins that. Winning CIOs are now the digital orchestrators for the business. And they must be change makers who build business resilience, ensure continuity, and drive the creation of secure, high quality experience. And indeed, in leading organizations, 40% of CIOs rely on an as-a-service architecture to reduce the technical debt and to optimize the business growth. The same is true of just 10% of CIOs in the follower category we mentioned before in our study. So this significant difference represents not only the simplify, flatten, and consolidate mindset is critical for success for the CIO, but also strategic foundational direction towards cloud is also key to the success. And a great example of this success in real terms, especially for me as I studied there, is Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, or NTU, who are a Workday customer. So NTU embarked on a digital transformation journey, moving from aging infrastructure to a modernized, cloud-first, mobile-enabled, data-driven service that's secure by design to meet all the latest trust and security standards. And Workday was one of the very first cloud applications that NTU implemented when they started their digital transformation journey. And with NTU, with Workday, NTU was able to streamline 65 in-house HR applications into one integrated system. And this gives both the faculty and non-faculty users a common set of HR standards, processes, and enables the delivery of a better end user experience for their internal users. And further, with Workday Adaptive Planning, NTU was able to leverage real-time data and insights to forward plan headcount and overall business strategy, successfully building a people-centered culture enabled by technology. So for us, it's really about seeing those leaders really work in lockstep with each other. So the CIO driving the cloud strategy, the CHRO being the business driver to ensure that they're getting a lot more efficiency out of the system, and also the CFO and aligning that financial lens to all of those outcomes to ensure that organizations are really moving forward with agility.
This has been a fascinating conversation, but do you have any final words that you'd like to leave the audience with?
So, for me, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, I would, looking ahead at what Asia Pacific and the region has in general, such a vibrant collection of cultures, countries, and environments. And leaders really need to understand and embrace these differences and create a flexible, agile-minded business. CIOs and IT leaders must take action to leverage the power of technology and analytics to build digital resilience, drive business flexibility, and improve the integration at an enterprise level, which is ultimately crucial, especially during these times of uncertainty in the global economy. In a post-pandemic era, forward-thinking organizations need to shift digital transformation priorities and accelerate at pace to narrow agility gaps. We understand that from the study. But in order for them to be more resilient against future disruptions and to capitalize on change in a market that continues to be volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, amid increasing economic uncertainty, organizations need to recognize that downturns are a recurring part of business cycles that can present opportunities if managed effectively. And the best strategy is to be prepared. Organizations need to prioritize digital agility and adopt an integrated technology approach that enables them to effectively weather uncertainties and take advantage of growth when it returns, thus achieving sustainable business success. That would be my a synopsis on the findings, as well as my recommendations moving forward.
Now, Damien, I've learned a lot. Thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
No problem at all. My pleasure.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Damien Leach, the Chief Technology Officer, Asia Pacific and Japan at Workday on BizTech's Technology Show. This video and podcast will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It will also be on our syndication partners via TV, radio, and digital platforms. Thanks again for tuning in.